Hello everybody. So welcome to this lecture in the SOC series in which we are going to talk about the transaction level modeling. We have understood the significance of modeling in the context of the system design flow for an SOC. We know that model is nothing but it is the conceptual view of the system functionality. Okay, and we know that in the SOC we are using the models of computation for functionality and the models of architecture for representing the platform or the interface or the communication, whatever you can say. Okay, and even models they were utilized in the last lecture in which we talked about the power modeling and estimation. So model, it may be built upon the mathematical concept. Okay, it can be equated by mathematical equations, or it can be held made at a higher abstraction level at the functional level. So in this whole journey through SOC course, we have understood that modeling in SOC is required both for hardware and software, and it is used as a tool to reduce the time to market, achieve the desired performance objectives. Maybe that is in the terms of the power, or in the terms of the area, or in the terms of the speeds. So it is allowing a verification, okay, without the actual hardware in place. So it allows system to be verified functionally, and it serves a kind of bridge between the architecture details of the system and its functionality, and rather it validates the complete system working. Okay, so that is the significance of modeling. So when I talk about even if the power is to be done or the functionality is to be achieved, so models they have to be there. So let's first try to understand modeling and see where is this transaction level modeling falling. Okay, so try. So whenever I talk about a model, the model it can be first at the level of the architecture, or it can be at the functional level, or at the level of the micro architecture. Okay, so though different terminologies may be used, different sub levels may be introduced, but overall your modeling in the SOC has to be at least done at the three levels. When I say architecture, architecture means it is implementation detail dependent. Okay, so we need to put the implementation details, and it particularly refers to the communication components, the specifications which have to be incorporated. The functional level, that is more of the algorithmic level, where the architecture dependency it is not there, but we need to achieve it from more the application point of view. We need to understand its functionality that can be carried out at a higher level, or maybe at the RTL level, or maybe at the instructional level. And then we have the microarchitectural level, which is closer to the hardware details, and it is definitely to do with more with the hardware and the actually implementation details which are there. Okay, so that will be using the cycle accurate models or the RTL models. So that depends that how the system is being designed, what is the complexity, what are the IPs being used, and how the system is being integrated. So that varies how we are implementing different models. They're going to be there. Let's say there is functional modeling in which the output from the simulation is run and the system functionality is verified. So that is mainly for running the application specifications. Then there is memory accurate modeling in which the contents and the layout of the memory it is verified, that has to be accurate. Then there is cycle accurate modeling, which is it can be used for the as a base for the RTL modeling. Here the number of the clock cycles consumed in performing any particular function that they are accurate, and based on that it can be mapped to the RTL level modeling. Okay, so even there can be event level modeling or there can be a transaction level modeling. So we have understood that there are different abstraction levels, and depending upon those abstraction levels there are different modeling uh, types of models, I should say. Okay, so further associating at functionality. Now we said that SOC design, it is different from ASIC in the sense that your functionality, it has to be uh, seen from a level higher than RTL with respect to both hardware and software. So before we are going to hardware, we have to view the system functionality in the terms of hardware plus software. Example, if I let's say want to see a memory access operation, so I have to see that in the memory access operation what can be done through the software and what can be done through the hardware unit which is going to be there, and what hardware unit then can be using. It is a reusable block or it is a new block which is required. So those things. So it is at a higher level. So this is typically at the level where your communication and interface with the speeds and specifications are mentioned. So here we can have your hardware also, and some functionality has to be implemented in the form of the software. Okay, so software again, it can be specified either as the instruction level programming models or it can be algorithmic level. Okay, so it can be algorithmic level. And in this only there is a new style which is introduced which is called your TLM. Now when I talk about hardware, hardware is typically your functional thing in which your RTL models so at the hardware level either RTL or the CA models, cycle accurate models, they may be used. Now why even we needed this transaction level modeling? Now transaction level modeling, it can be, you can say, used to model or make model of computations for input output blocks, for your functional units which are there, and for the synchronization units. Now typically they were required because the TLM, it is going to allow us to design or you can say verify the functionality even well before the RTL level. Okay, so we don't have to wait for the details of the architecture, and it can be used to build the models well before the RTL code. Okay, so let's try and compare. So we are going into the details now for comparing TL versus RTL, because here we are talking about the software plus hardware which is there. Okay, so these figures, they are coming from the development of the complex SOC platform in which your simulation speed for RTL and cycle accurate modeling and the TLM has been compared. And if we see it clearly, we can see that simulation speeds, they are almost 1000 times higher when we make use of TLMs. And similarly, modeling speed versus that is also increased by 10 times. Now this comes because RTL is getting closer to the hardware. So it is at a finer granularity level as compared to your TLM. And moreover, that we have understood in the PAR modeling that the granularity dependence is such that as we move towards fine to codes, our speed of simulation is going to increase, but accuracy is going to decrease. But that is not so the case with TLM. TLM only allows us to have the early architecture exploration and the software development, okay, and it can be easily mapped through cycle accurate models to the RTL. So it is easily forming a path from higher abstraction level to the lower micro architecture level modeling. Okay. So in comparison to RTL, the TLM, they are fast to model, they are faster to simulate, the lesser of code is there, and they are at a much higher abstraction level, which allows the modeling well before the RTL code or the complete architecture specifications can be there. I shouldn't say specifications, implementation details are there. So without having the complete implementation details, we can go about implementing the TLM models. Okay. But one drawback with that is they are not synthesizable because we are not involving hardware here, whereas RTL is involved. So though we are comparing it with RTL, that does not mean that use of TLM is replacing RTL. Definitely RTL coding is required for the micro architecture level modeling which is there, but TLM is allowing us to model our system at a higher level so that we can verify its functionality as far as possible without the actual hardware details and rectify or refine it for any shortcomings or modifications which are required. So I hope I am clear on this. Okay. Now we have understood the significance of what a TLM is. What is the advantage of TLM? But now let's see what does actually this transaction level modeling mean. How do we compare? Because we are very clear about what is RTL model. We all are aware what is RTL going to look like. It has blocks interconnected. Okay, there is transfer of data, so we know, we understand. But what is actually TLM and how it is going to actually look like different from RTL? To understand this, uh, see this, or I would like to revisit it. So I would first like to explain what is basically a TLM. Okay. So TLM are the models of the hardware system components at a high level of abstraction. They can be quickly modeled and they are ready with an executable specification. So definitely the path to RTL is made easy with the help of TLM. They have the highest speed of simulation as compared to RTL, and it allows modeling at a much earlier level, and the timing details can also be incorporated depending upon what or how much information is available with us about the architectural implementations. Okay, so they allow us to uh, explore our design implementation options in a better way and get an optimized or best implementation model for a system. Now basically transaction is nothing but it is a quantum of activity. So it can have different meanings, but in our context or in a current context of our discussion, it refers to a data or an event exchange. Okay. When I say data exchange, it means if there is exchange of information between the two functional units. Okay. Let's say A and B are two units and they want to exchange certain information. So that can be in a form of single word data which is there, or it can be a series of words which is exchanged, or it can be any complex data structure. Basically, data means some information is being exchanged between the two units. So two units, they are need not to be specified whether they are memory, it is going to have these many inputs, it is going to have these many outputs. I can simply specify, okay, there is a bit vector exchange. Suppose we want to read a word from the memory. So that can be requested by the processor from the memory, and it can be, okay, a bit vector would be read, and that is 32-bit. Whatever processor we are designing, data width of the processor. So that is the bit vector width which is going to be there. Okay, similarly, it can be a write operation. So that is a data exchange, or it can be a kind of event exchange. Now, for example, there is a peripheral which is, let's say, a printer is getting connected and it wants to access the document for printing. So it can send an interrupt. Okay, once it is enabled, it can send an interrupt. To that interrupt which is coming, we are not specifying it what signals are there in our printer, what acknowledgements are required. It means a simple transaction is it is requesting for the control to be there, and the system bus or the peripheral bus control is relinquished to that particular peripheral. As simple as that. So that is the way of event exchange between the two. Okay. So in this data structures and object references are made and are passed as bit vectors. So computation and communication objects are connected through abstract data types. So we can make use of the abstract data types here. So we need not go into the actual details. Okay, it is a 16-bit data only. I should correct it, the example I gave. So it simply tells, okay, there is exchange of information. We are not specifying the actual width. That can be more generic in nature. It only specifies a request is made from unit A to B. B is sending a response. As simple as that. Now let's revisit to understand what is difference between the RTL model and what is TNM. So coming here, so this is showing the information exchange between the memory management unit and the system memory. Okay, so for if it is a RTL, I'll start with the RTL. Now if RTL level coding or the modeling is done, the number of signals involved would be: first, a signal is asserted which requests as a bus master. Then the system memory and the bus controller, it is going to grant that request. Once that request is granted, then the address for the read request is passed on. That is again acknowledged back. So once that acknowledgement is given, the first data word is then passed on that bus, and that may be number of whatever how much ever data, that is number of words which have to be read, those are read, and then finally it is released by the bus is released by the memory management unit. So we can see how many signals they are getting exchanged if we are going to refer to as RTL level. But if the same thing is implemented at the transaction level, it is simply request burst read, because we are going to read n words together. So it is a burst operation. So size, it is going to tell you, okay, we have to read 10 cache lines in a memory, and it simply returns. So it is simply 2 signals. So that eases out the number of code lines which are there. It makes the process very simple because no hardware details are involved. It is simply transaction का मतलब सिर्फ, it's just like I want this work done, so I send a request and my request is responded. So actually कितने signals है, acknowledgement is there, direct memory access is being there, it is coming from which port, what is the port width, those details are not at all needed at the transaction level. So I hope we are clear on this. So we'll continue with this transaction level modeling in the next lecture, and I hope I have been able to make the things clear. What is a TLM model and how it is better, and what is the significance in the context of SOC design. Thank you.